I had just accumulated so much data in 3 hours, let alone in a day, that most people don't absorb their whole life. And I'm looking around the beach in Newport Beach, almost crying because I'm looking around at all these people who have no clue what I just read.
All right, welcome to the New Age Human Podcast, where we have deep conversations about life, question the norm, all with the intent to thrive in the new age. I'm your host, John Estacio, and in today's episode, we talk with Chris O'Brien, Come Out Better. He's known for his business Come Out Better, where he breaks into it in this episode. But I wanted to give you a heads up. It's a little lengthy. It's about an hour long, and it's dense with information. We talk about how to unlock your human potential with self-awareness and a technique to do so, the dangers of electronics, and down to the actual cellular level, and then also how that ties in with water. So before we get started, just make sure to like, subscribe, give it this episode a 5-star if you're listening in. That helps us get to more people, right? And then also, if you want to watch the video version, we're on YouTube and Rumble. Certain episodes will be only on Rumble just because of censorship. And then also, we're going to have a Telegram channel called New Age Human. So all those links will be in the show notes, so look out for that. And then lastly, remember, if you have a red pill story of waking up to the world needing to change, or something happened in your life and it just changed your outlook on everything and just kind of quote unquote woke you up, feel free to email me. Now that we have a Telegram channel, just throw it in there. Hey, I want to be on the show, or I have a story to share. And I do have a link. It's in the show notes on recording a 5-minute audio. So without further ado, buckle your seatbelts because it's going to be a wild ride. Let's go. Today we have an awesome guest. We have Chris O'Brien. What's up? Thank you for coming on to the show, man.
What's happening, brother? No, it's good. It's a pleasure to be here. When you reached out to me, I was a full body yes, because I want to give people all sorts of value and knowledge, and saw your page and what you're about and what you're up to. And yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to share some value, connect some drops, and help people come out better. Truly help people come out better. So it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I do like the name Come Out Better because it's very straightforward. You're all about coming out better. Do you want to give a little bit of like your background on how about this? Let's introduce everybody to you in a sense of, obviously you've woken up, you're aware that the world is going to change and there's stuff that needs to change.
Yes.
What started you on that journey? Like, was there like a red pill moment where it was like a one thing, like an event that kind of just like woke you up, or was it like a couple things? Like, feel free to share that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was the perfect example of someone fully in the matrix. Growing up in Orange County, growing up playing a sport, followed your typical model of schooling, followed your typical model of education and teenage years, high school, college, just going by the book, really going by the book. I was raised by an amazing mother and father who gave me so much and provided me so much in my life and loved me unconditionally. And what had started happening was, as I moved on from I was an athlete growing up. So I played professional basketball, I played college ball, played high school ball. And after basketball ended for me was when things started to change for me. And that was really where it all started. In 2015, I played in Mexico for a year, and I got pretty sick. I was very sick there, and I was 25 years old, and I was not taking care of my body. I wasn't taking care of my mind. I wasn't taking care of my stress. I thought I was. Little did I know, realizing so much of our world has been predicated in a lie, or predicated in a program designed to control you and make you live a certain way. I started to feel the effects physically: colitis, acid reflux, eczema, allergies, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. My coping mechanisms were, partying or drugs or medications or video games, things that would just keep my mind off of these different challenges I was facing. Well, came home, and that's when I had my first quote unquote awakening, which wasn't very subtle. It wasn't necessarily like an out of body red pill moment. It was, I woke up to water, and water started healing me in so many ways. Kangen water started to change my life. And I feel that was the first door that started to flood my body with water, because we're 99% water molecular level. And if water holds memory, I'm technically now bringing in new water to flush all this old water out of my body, and all of these old memories out of my body, all of these old traumas out of my body, all of these old programs, and all of these subconscious beliefs, and all of these, triggers, and all of these emotions, and everything that water is held in. And my body started to get clean. My body started to clear, and I started to see things a little bit clearer, yet I was still completely submerged in the quote unquote matrix system. So that was like the first phase. That was the first phase. I was still Chris O'Brien. It was not Come Out Better. And I'll get to how that actually came about. After that year, the following year, I started to see numbers, right? What's 111? And I asked my now partner named Jilly at the time, she was just my friend. I'm like, what is this? Or like, why are you eating that? Or like, I was just getting genuinely curious. Like, why would you eat that? Like, why would I want to try that? Why?
Right.
Fasting? Nobody fasts. I got to put on muscle. I got to put on weight. And so all of these things, she was planting seeds in my mind. And little did I know that the seeds that she planted those years are now freaking full blown bamboo trees. They say
Whoa.
bamboo takes 5 years to grow, right? Bamboo trees take 5 years to grow. So we're 2022. This was in 2017. So I'm now have blossomed from my little sprout that she planted. And that's when I had my moment. December 2017, which a certain letter of the alphabet started dropping certain messages on a board, the 17th letter. That was 2 months before I woke up. 2017 December, I wake up, I go on Instagram, or excuse me, I don't go on Instagram. I wake up first, and I'm out of my body. I'm in my beach house. I'm on my roof looking down at my body. Remember, I have no spiritual awareness, never meditate, never done plant medicine, don't know what the third eye is. I don't know any of this stuff. And I am above me, looking down at me, and I'm staring at myself for hours. Completely, like,
nuts.
I guess the closest thing was sleep paralysis, where you're like awake, but you can't move.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you ever felt that, like you like, I can feel my body, yet I cannot actually tell my fingers to move. And I felt that for hours. It was the craziest thing. And it was like after a night of partying, I think, too, of all times, right? So I literally, of all times, like, my soul said, all right, time is now, dude. You can't keep messing up and messing around with this. We need your help ASAP. I just felt that. And then I started listening to a voice in my head, and it wasn't a voice like this. It wasn't your voice, my voice, a man or a woman. It was as if I was listening by feeling and knowing. Like, I was just like, quote unquote, reading my DNA at the time. And I had no clue what that even meant. And then that's when I started hearing, hey, detox, plant medicine, alkaline acid, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, the soul, DNA, the chakras. I didn't know any of this stuff, dude. And I'm just like reading, all of this stuff is pouring into me. And then I go on Instagram, and the first thing that pops in is an account I never knew before. And it was an account that was sharing, who is Barry Soetoro? Like,
Okay.
Barry Soetoro, who the heck is that? And I scrolled through the carousel thing or whatever it was, and there it was, Barack Obama. I'm like, what? What the heck is Barry Soetoro? Go to the next post. You know how you find one post and you
Yup.
go to the next post and you're
rabbit
like,
hole.
wait, I was like, what the heck is this? And then all of it started making sense so fast. Like, I went 3 hours. I went to the beach for 3 hours, and I kept going and going and going. And after that third hour, I started crying because I looked around
Oh my
and
God.
I had just accumulated so much data in 3 hours, let alone in a day, that most people don't absorb their whole life. And I'm looking around the beach in Newport Beach, almost crying, because I'm looking around at all these people who have no clue what I just read. They have no clue about who these people are, who the government really is, what these things are in the sky that I've always wondered. Why are there lines in the sky? Oh, must be just an air show. Literally so dumbfounded about how society worked. And all of that happened so fast in December 2017. That led to a diet change. That led to me going plant-based. Then I went into fasting. And then the craziest part, 4 months later, I get the call saying my dad has diagnosed with cancer.
That's horrible.
And this all happened 4 months after I had an awakening, learning about acid, learning about chemo. Remember, I didn't know my dad was sick at the time. They finally told us this, and who knows if they were telling the truth or not. And it was just crazy that God woke me up when God did, to learn this stuff as fast as I can, to bring in one of the biggest challenges and battles, which was my father being diagnosed with cancer, my best friend, right? That's where it all started. And in that process, I'm doing the best I can to simplify it and keep it short and sweet.
No, no,
In
you're
that
good.
process, literally in that whole process, I started realizing that I'm going to live this life like a phoenix or trial and error. And it got to a point where I needed to create some type of brand for myself, some type of mentality that I can fall back to in case I get through a rough patch. And that's where Come Out Better really started. It was, I believe, in like 2019, I made the name change from
Mm.
Chris_O'Brien to Come Out Better. And I got Come Out Better. Originally, my acronym is COB, Chris O'Brien. So
Oh,
see, there
I'm
you
actually
go.
upset it took that long for me to figure that out, or at least connect those dots.
Right? So my nickname growing up, I was given at the age of 5 was Cobb, C-O-B, Cobb, because my friends couldn't say Christopher in kindergarten. So they say, Cobb, hey, Cobb, come here. Hey,
That's
Cobb, where's Cobb? Where's Cobb? And it's always been a part of my life. And then it turned into like all these other different names in high school and in college. And the friend that gave me that name, as sad as it is, it's like he passed away in high school. There was a suicide, and I always reminded myself of that moment that I would somehow honor him for the rest of my life. And so when Cobb came into my awareness again, that was it. His name was Jordan Watanabe, and he was from Hawaii. He was a brother to me growing up. He showed love by teasing me, and I didn't
mm,
know how to tease him back. So he was just the guy that I would just kind of hang out with. And I was driving one day in Orange County, and I was in my head, I was like, COB, Cobb, what can I do with that? People just think corn. Like, I don't want to be
right.
corny. Like, I don't, like, I know you said the corny jokes. Like, I got a lot of dad jokes now. COB, and I'm putting together words. This is where I got into language. I'm like, can overcome, you know, obstacles, or can, could, and then come out better, come out better. Holy shiitake, come out better. Wow, come out better. Oh my gosh, I am coming out better. Literally, I'm literally coming out of this old way of living better. I'm coming out of the matrix better. I'm coming out of all this lies better. And then it turned into Come Out Better. On Instagram, it started turning into just a saying I kept saying. And really it does break down to that whole point is whatever trial and error, failure, mess up, mistake, setback, loss, deceit, anger, grief, shame, emotion, fear, resentment, guilt, envy, lust, shadow, comparison, doubt. I got all these down because I went through all of them and I came out better from them. And how
Mm,
I did that is what I share. I share the process of that. I share the steps I took. I share the things that I tried. I share the experiences that I had, and me sharing that actual process, not the end result. Right? A lot of us like to share the XYZ, the trophy, the
mhm,
sale, the
mhm.
wife, like all the accolades. We don't like to share where we started. I wasn't me. I love it all. And I fell in love with all of it. I fell in love with the fact that I used to literally drink so much alcohol because that was a part of me that allows me now to drink so much water and not drink out. You know what I mean? It's like
That's an
every part
interesting
of it.
twist.
Yeah. It's like how to make everything that is bad better, how
That
to come out
is,
better.
I like the phoenix too because it's a
Yep.
powerful symbol, and then it's the phoenix is almost like going through that journey where a lot of people fear of dying, and it's a
Yeah.
ego death, and you went through what seems like an ego death, and then
Yep.
a lot of drama to come
Yep.
out better. And it's
Yep.
very interesting how COB used to be. I'm still upset that I was like, oh wait, Chris O'Brien. Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
is I
And
was
that's what's right
also
behind me. That's what's right behind me. That's
yes,
my
yeah.
brand is the phoenix. It's literally you rise from the ashes. The resurrection is not something like actually physical death. It's just old ways of living,
Mhm.
old foods you eat, old beverages, old choices, old lifestyle, old habits, things that don't serve you anymore. They collapse. Like it feels like when people wake up, everything's falling apart. Well, yeah, to start anew and then you build up and then you rise like a phoenix. And that's exactly it. Phoenix rising. And I don't even know if we'll get into human design. In human design, I'm right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix of all things.
Wait.
So there's a whole different dimension.
So go into that. You brought it up. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Human
Yeah. Yeah.
design.
hmm
What's going on? What is a right angle phoenix? Is it similar to like Chinese astrology, or is it something completely different?
In a way, are you familiar with human design?
I don't think in a sense that you're talking about, no.
Okay.
So
It
I'm very
is
curious.
in my opinion, because there's astrology, sky astrology,
Right.
Vedic readings, numerology. In my opinion, in my lens, in my personal opinion, human design is the number one thing that helped me learn more about myself than any of all those combined. Not even
Okay.
close. Human design. It basically it's a reading of your energetic mechanics based on when you were born, the time you're born, and the location you were born. There's something called neutrinos that comes from the sun. It's
Okay.
tiny light particles of information that come from the sun. These neutrinos hit the earth and they go into souls through the vessels, through the channels,
Okay.
through your mother's crown into her womb where you're born. And when you come out of the womb, right into the dock and that whole sovereignty process and yada yada, you're equipped with these energetic signatures. So these energetic signatures is how you interpret the world. It's, are you an investigator? Are you a natural talent? And me, I'm a 3-5, which without detailing it, a 3-5 is the great heretic. JFK Jr. or JFK was a 3-5. Elon
Okay.
Musk is a 3-5. 3-5s are here to really like flip stuff inside out. Like we're the ones that call out the BS in religion. We're the ones that call out the BS in politics. Like that's our 3-5 design. Right. So I'm
Okay.
living this out right now. And the three is your trial and error. So if you have a 3 in your chart, you live life and you learn and you go through life the best when you trial and error things. That no one like you, John, you couldn't tell me this about the awakening. I had to go experience it. So a lot
Interesting.
of people out there, they won't hear you because energetically they're meant to experience
Mm.
something, not read something. So that's my 3 is my trial and error. So that's Phoenix, you trial and error, you crash, you rise, you crash, you rise, you crash, you rise. And then in my head is a 5. 5 is a universalizer. It's a problem solver. It's the energy that people go to for solutions, people go to for clarity, things that people go through answers. And it can also be a place where people put you on a pedestal or they expect a lot out of you, or you are the person like the Robin Hood to come save the day, like to give the rich, from the rich and give to the poor. Like that's your expectation of being a solutionary, a problem solver, a dot connector. So that 5 energy goes on in my head all the time. That's why I'm always connecting dots. And the last craziest part about all this, well, like the sleeping phoenix is it's called the cross of a sleeping phoenix.
Okay.
So what does that mean? I live my life. I see things 10 years ahead of the collective. So
Okay.
that's, remember I told you the stuff I've been sharing
Mm-hmm.
from the last years is because years ago I was living in this moment right now. So I like what's happening in the world. I've already knew 5 years ago and I've already put it all together. What's happening today in the world, what I'm sharing now is what's going to be happening in the next couple of years. So
Mm.
like I live years ahead of everybody and I share it where it's relevant to digest it today so people can meet me where I'm at. And that's the cross of the sleeping phoenix.
I'm
And with the
very
last thing with the
curious.
human design, last thing with human design, you know Nikola Tesla, right? You
Yeah.
know Nikola Tesla. So me and his human design are pretty much identical, which is
Ooh.
absolutely, it threw me off my chair because I have his books, I have shirts, I have Tesla plates around my house, I have 369 in my charts, my in sky astrology, I'm close to Nikola Tesla in the sky, and
You
I
have his
everything
energy,
that he
man.
I have his energy, and I'm all about free energy. I have highlights on Tesla. All before I knew this, I learned this last month on Twitter. Someone posted his chart because I never thought of looking at it, and I'm like, wait a
Holy.
minute. Is this me? Wait a minute. Who is this? Nikola Tesla, born in Serbia on this date. Everything was real. And if you put our charts right on top of each other, the parts that I was actually missing on certain channels, he actually had filled in.
Uh,
So when we're together, stacked on top of each other, every part of the human design is complete. Me and Nikola Tesla.
so you're saying he's filling in the missing parts that you haven't filled in yet, or more
Yes,
like, okay, okay.
he did. And then the parts he didn't have, I fill in. So when you think about it, like there are a bunch of Teslas. When I say Nikola Teslas, it's the energy, right? Like I
Mhm.
can, like certain historic, like Donald Trump is a 1-3 manifesting generator. There's a lot of 1-3 manifesting generators and a lot
Interesting.
of war generals were like 1-3s. A lot of people that question and brought authorities down were 1-3s. So if you start looking at the human design and you look at the pieces in play out in the world, I can see it clearly because I know what these guys are actually doing. Like Elon Musk is a 3-5 man gen. He's me. So what he's doing with Twitter is what I've done on Instagram is slowly ask questions, ask the people, dissolve this whole stuff. Whatever you believe in them, like that's irrelevant. None of us really are going to ever meet the guy. He's just a character in our movie. Honestly, we're never going to meet these people. No, I'm probably never going to meet Musk, Trump, and all these guys. Maybe, I don't know. For the most part, though, they're characters in our movie, and we just give so much power away to these people because they trigger us. They make us feel a certain way. And instead of, I say, detach from the messenger, look at the message. What is being shared? Just look at the words. Look at what's happening. Read the language. Read the cues and read the clues and all these things. So I see how he's breaking down things because of his human design. So it's an amazing topic. For those listening, human design, you can look on Instagram. There's tons of amazing pages about it. One of my favorites is myhumandesign.com. You can pay $5 a month and learn more about yourself than years and years of anything else that I've ever seen.
My human design seems like numerology because you're talking about numbers. How did you come across your numbers? Do you come across it using your birthday or okay. Cause
yes.
Adding, like your month, the day and the year, and then you have a double digit word and then the first and the second add to your main number, or do you not count that?
Yeah. So how you find your design, you go to myhumandesign.com, you put your first and last name, which doesn't matter if it's first full name or last name or whatever. You got to have your birthday, which everyone knows. The hardest part is the birth time. You got to get the exact birth time. It can't be, around 4 a.m. It's got to be the exact time and the exact location. And that's it. And then you put submit, it breaks it down, gives you a reading. And like I said, dude, I learned more in human design than I've learned on any other platform in terms of energetic mechanics. And you mentioned it, it's like a mixture of the I Ching, numerology, astrology, like it's a lot of these other different readings that are out there merged together and expressed in the most comprehensible, tangible, absorbable way, in my opinion. So like the numbers 3-5, that's your profile. So there's like a 1-3, 3-5, 2-4, 5-2, 5-1, 3-6, 6-3. Like it's just the first number and second number. And then you have authorities, which is like, are you an emotional authority? So you got to sleep on things. Are you a sacral authority? So if I say, hey, John, you want to go to the movies and you're sacral, as soon as you get an answer, yes, that's your answer. Me, I got to sleep on it. I go, hey, let me get back to you in an hour. Let me feel this out because I have an emotional authority, right? So if I go against my authority and you ask me to go to the movies and I don't think about it, I just say, yeah, let's do it. When the time comes to go to the movies, I'm probably like, damn, I don't want to go. I shouldn't have committed. And this happens, right? It happens to people all the time because they go against their natural energetic authority. And then you have, what else? The profile. And then the last one's energy type, which I'm a manifesting generator. So there's generator, which is like a constant motor. This is where most, like 80% of the world, 60% of the world is a generator. They have a motor. Yet there's also percentages that are projectors and manifestors, okay? Meaning they're not designed to work 9 to 5s. They're not designed to go, no days off, no rest or sleep. There are people that are designed and thrive with rest, with picking their spots, with initiating things and being invited. So that's why a lot of people that don't know their design live a life opposite of it. They burn out, they keep getting stuck. Bad things keep happening. They get frustrated. They keep hitting the same wall because they haven't taken time to learn how their energetic mechanics work. Because that's not taught in Rockefeller education. Of course not. They all know this stuff. Some of the biggest companies in the world use human design to build their companies.
Wow.
Because they know the energetic mechanics.
So you have
and that's
generator,
what I use in my business. Yeah.
The generator.
Generator.
And the other one is what?
There's generator, which is like the Energizer Bunny, just keeps going and going. No, nonstop. Like my partner's a generator. You have a manifester, which is like kings and queens are manifestors. They
would love to be a
speak.
manifester. That's what I want to be.
Yeah. And they maybe it is you because you're doing a podcast. You're initiating people to speak, and you can look this up. I wouldn't even be surprised. And manifestors don't like being told what to do, so they don't like taking orders from people. They are the person that initiates others.
Oh my God.
And then you have projectors, which is like the sages, like the wise, the wisdom keepers. They're kind of like they're like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. They're present. they have so much wisdom, yet not everyone's ready for it until they're invited to share. And when they share, they can literally redirect people into a place that they've never been.
I
Like they
feel
have
like
this gift. Yeah.
I feel like now from now on, whenever I go to interview somebody, I'm going to use the information that I obtain to figure out what their energy is,
Dude,
and
so
then
good.
work with that, because that's pretty cool. Because I'm familiar with numerology, and I know I'm a 268 last time I checked,
Uh-huh.
and my wife's a 358. So we're both eights, but
Yeah.
we come at it different. And I think she's a 3-5, which means she's as similar as you. And she does call out
Interesting.
BS all the time, all the time, all the
Could
time.
be.
You know,
Absolutely could be. Yeah.
man.
And then the last one's manifesting generator. So that's a hybrid of a generator and a manifester. So that's what I am. So I can have a motor and I can initiate by just speaking. Like Donald Trump's a man gen, Elon Musk is a man gen, JFK was a man
Mansions.
gen. Man gens, we're like the super hybrid of generator and manifester. Like we're new to the scene just in the last few years of change.
Well,
Yeah.
that's that. Okay. So now you're saying new to the scene. So now
Yeah.
there's a track record of all
Mhm.
these people and percentages coming out over the decades. And it's now what you just mentioned makes it seem like there's and I'm a full believer in this, but that there's a divine intelligence behind creating these types of souls for different type for now, right?
Yeah.
You need a lot of that for now, for obvious
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. It's just, it's so much of it's the data coming from our sun, it's coming from the stars, coming from the world, coming from people. And when that data is harnessed at the cellular level, I mean, you're going quantum. You're talking, the body. I break it down like this. This is how I see the world, right? And we're about to zoom in. You have the body, which is John, Chris. Then you have the systems, lymph system, cardiovascular, digestive, skeletal, muscular, endocannabinoid, endocrine, reproductive, nervous system, circulatory system. They're your systems, right? And
Yeah.
in those systems, you have the organs, spleen, liver, kidneys, lungs, pancreas, heart, muscles, brain, medulla, pineal, you know what I mean? From those organs, you now have cells. Okay. From those cells, you now go smaller to molecules. From molecules, you go to atoms. From atoms, you go to protons, electrons, neutrons, and those are simply non-existent to the human eye. So we had to be able to see it in our mind, not with our eyes. That's why the eyes look, the mind sees, the heart leads. When you get to those areas, you are now finding yourself in quantum physics, which is similar to a computer, which is basically stop-go functions. 1 and 0, 0, 1, stop, go, go, stop. Question, answer, answer, question, right? Where are we familiar with that? So like the Matrix, it trickled down numbers, ones and zeros and all that.
Ones and zeros. This one's a red. This one's a blonde.
Yep. Yeah, right. Ones and zeros, stop, go, question, answer. And that's why like with Q, literally it's a question. A lot of the Q posts are questions. Because when you ask questions, you're going to get answers. And those answers you get turn into aha moments, and that starts people's awakenings. So, body, systems, organs, cells. Most people don't even get past this point. We talk about, let's eat this food for our body. Let's go sweat. I live way deeper. I look at the electrons, I look at the molecules, I look at subatomic, I look at frequency and energy. Because if you get that right, if you keep going to molecules and atoms and electrons, protons, neutrons, that's the part. And the Q drop recently was protect your DNA. And that's at the cellular, molecular level. That's the war that's being taken place, the one we cannot see with our eyes. That's the hardest part.
So I like how you brought up protect your DNA, because it's very timely right now. Do you have, I like, as far as timeliness and what's going on right now, I know there's people that are worried of another event happening, just because there's a lot of tension in the world from, let's say, the dark versus light. And what I was going to say is, what are your thoughts on how to protect your DNA? Because outside of the obvious of not getting the so-called treatment,
Yep.
Is there another way that you see that you can protect your DNA?
Yeah, there's many ways. I mean, and a lot of these ways actually aren't to the visible to the eye, like sound, for example. My biggest one is water, because if you look at a cell molecular wise is 99% water. Majority of the cell contains negatively charged fluid, and the external is positively charged. Um, the DNA is held together by hydrogen bonds. So drinking water that is rich in molecular hydrogen will protect your DNA. Um, things that basically just here it is in a nutshell, right? Your DNA is housed inside of what? Inside of your cell, which is in the nucleus, which is in the cell. So
Right.
that's all it is. It's one cell. You just got to learn how one cell works. And many of us don't know how one cell works. We don't know how we make
You
energy.
forgot.
We forgot, right? We were never taught, because if we knew how one cell works, we knew how all trillions work. And if we know how all trillions work, we know how we work. And when we know how we work, they lose. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have no control. The reason why these mandates happen with the treatments and the injections and whatnot is people are doing it so freely because they have no clue how their own body works.
Right.
So if you study simple basic cellular biology, which you can do in 20 minutes on YouTube University, or look up a guy named Dr. Jerry Tennant, who I've learned so much from, his whole premise to health, whether it's the V word, whatever, all the words that we don't want to say here. When it comes to all that, to protect yourself, just know how one cell works, take care of that cell, and then duplicate it with every cell in your body. So the simplest thing is this, John. Do you own a car?
Yeah.
Can you start your car if you have a full tank of gas?
Correct.
Can you start your car with 4 tires?
Yes.
Can you start your car when the steering or the manual transmission's on drive?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it needs to be in park.
Park or drive. We get the idea.
Yeah.
Can you start the car without a battery?
No. Done.
So the gas is the food, right? The tires are the workouts. The oil change is all the supplements. So we're doing all this stuff. Yet I don't care if you have a Rolls Royce, John, a Bentley, a Ferrari, or a Toyota. If you do not have a battery, that is charged and running, you ain't going nowhere. And that's
Mhm.
all of our cells. That's all of our cells. So if you can get the right voltage, the right charge in your cell, okay, and if you can get that negatively charged voltage going, there's studies that literally show, and there's plenty of research, that the V word cannot survive in a high voltage environment. That's it. You got to raise your cellular voltage. And that's what, like,
Interesting.
HCQ, I remember those things.
Mhm.
Okay. If you really dig deep into them, like Jerry Tennant, he's done research on this. Those therapeutics raise cellular voltage.
What about I know grounding, getting
Yep.
connected to the ground. It increases your voltage. It helps balance out
sir.
the negative ions.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on, to dance around the words, right? The substance that you get injected with, let's just say,
Mhm.
right? We all know
Mhm.
the V word. Some are saying that there are self-replicating devices, mechanics
Mhm.
for interoperability, connection, Wi-Fi, whatever you want to call it. Do you feel that that also will be destroyed in a high voltage environment, even though that, based off of very limited knowledge on how that works, I mean,
Yeah.
technology runs off of voltage, so why would high voltage not help that? What are your thoughts
Exactly.
on that?
Yeah, 100%. Because think of it this way. Everything in the matrix, everything in this world that is not good for us is positively charged. It's proton rich.
Mm-mm.
Everything. Literally, the food that is depleted with glyphosate, proton rich. The
Mm-hmm.
bottled water that you buy in the store, proton rich. The air that we breathe full of pollution, proton rich. I have an ionizer at my home to ionize the air, to get negatively charged ions in the air. This world God created, and everything we live in, from the animals, plants, the fungi, the bacteria, the humans, the monkeys, the fruits, the veggies, the animals, the grass, the trees, the stems, the lakes, the rivers, the mountains, glaciers, everything has
Negative.
been designed and should have full dose of electrons, full negative charge everywhere. We destroyed it with 5G, with Wi-Fi, with NNEMFs, with cell towers, with technology, with chemical factories, with petrochemicals, with heavy metals, with pesticides, because all of that is proton rich. All of it's proton rich. So I don't care if you throw a jab at me or a bottle of water at me or some pollution or a heavy metal or a parasite. I just know, gather my ions, get my electrons, because when you have a positive and negative, they cancel clear and they're gone. They do not exist. They literally do not exist. So I am fully confident, like you said, grounding, sunshine, electron-rich water, Kangen water I drink, electron-rich food. Microwave food is not electron-rich. Cooked food is not electron-rich. That's why raw, fresh, organic, non-pesticide, non-GMO food
So
plus
pause. Hold on.
negatively charged water.
I do have a lot of people that I try to have this argument of do not microwave your food. And I haven't had a microwave in my home for 5 years, right? Or at least had one to use, right? Just got rid of it. How could you explain to somebody what a microwave does now, knowing that proton rich, enriching things in your life with a high amount of protons, right? The pluses versus the minuses, kind of messes things up. Like, how could you explain that in maybe layman terms to somebody, how that destroys everything?
Yeah. So think of it this way, because it's important to know how to explain things without getting technical, scientific, and all like, dude, this guy's crazy. Like, what are you sipping, man? I like to explain things, right, to like a 5-year-old, like an analogy or a metaphor that people can grasp and comprehend. So when it comes to microwaving food, the act of it itself is to heat something up, right? To warm something up or cook something. You're not putting something in the microwave to chill it or to freeze it. So it's to speed something up. It's to heat something up, and is to change the way in which the polarity of the food actually operates. So when you're heating something up, and everybody knows this, and you can give an example of like a fever, right? When you get a fever, it's your body's natural response to detox. It's your body's natural response to kill something. So if you were to put something in a microwave, not on an open flame, on an actual microwave where there's no flame, there's no fire, there's no heat technically, there's just energy that is heating something up synthetically, trying to mimic what Mother Earth does or with fire an element does, and you put it in a box made by man that has been designed technically to mimic what Wi-Fi does, what cell phones do. Because at least today you can tell somebody, and unless they're really asleep, like, hey, Wi-Fi, like cell phone radiation is a real thing, right? If they can say yes, that's basically what you're doing to your food. So I like to give people an analogy of something they already know that they can agree to. Like, hey, like putting your cell phone on your lap and your laptop and all the Wi-Fi, it's not the best, right? Yeah, I get it. Okay, good. That's the exact same thing that's happening to your food, except you don't eat your phone, you eat your food. So now you're getting 2 for 1. So would you want that? And the people I've told it that way, they're like, no, goodness gracious, I never thought of it that way. So you got to get something that people have already done, are doing, understand it, and then take that statement and then put it somewhere else. That's how I help people wake up. That's how I help people come out better. Instead of trying to explain to them about, it vibrates this fast and it changed the nucleotides, and next thing you know, your lymph system's stagnant. They're like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about.
They're in a coma, drool's coming out of the side of the face.
Exactly. They're just like kind of looking at you funny. So that's what I explain it that way is, do you agree that putting your cell phone on your lap, on your phone all day, holding your laptop, being around towers are good for you or bad for you? And if they say good for you, dude, you just got to wish them well, say a prayer, and like, that's really, you got to keep moving on. It's hard with those people, but most people will say, I get it. Oh, that makes sense. And that's how I explain, but that's what a microwave does. The waves are so micro, they're so tiny, and they move so fast. That's what 5G is. It's just straight up. What 5G is, it speeds up the oxygen molecules in the air. So instead of going this fast where you're inhaling it and you can absorb that hemoglobin into your hemoglobin, the blood, the oxygen, it goes this fast. And you're trying to breathe it in and you can't. That's why people
have a hard time.
And that's
breathing.
why Yeah, that's why it affects your cardiovascular system. So there was a whole thing that people, when these towers were coming up during 2020, of people losing their breath, or they're out of breath because in their area, there's all these towers that are sending off 60 hertz frequencies that are way too fast for oxygen. And it's literally putting the oxygen molecule in a blender. And then we try to drink that blender and we can't absorb the oxygen, even though we're breathing. Therefore, now our body is struggling to stay alive. It's struggling to breathe. So we have anxiety. We start having high blood pressure. We start having digestive issues. We have acne. We have breakouts. We have hair falling out, simply because they sped up the oxygen molecules that we're supposed to divinely inhale. And those oxygen molecules should have a negative charge. They all have positive charge, thanks to 5G and pollution and chemtrails. So they've literally found a way to proton saturate every part of our world. Food, water, air, people, movement, products, TV, media, radiation, Wi-Fi, heavy metals, chemtrails, injections, pharmaceuticals, chemotherapies, even negativity, negative, unconscious language, all of it. All of it. And I don't poke bubbles at meat eaters too, but eating animal-based foods, even cooked plant-based food that I'll enjoy sometimes, you are eating a very high hydrogen plus proton rich hydrogen ions in your body, which cause a lot of health issues. And nobody talks about that in the health world. And I'm baffled no one does. Nobody, when it comes to health and wellness of food and nutrition, ever mention electrons or protons in food.
So what
Because
are you saying?
no one goes that deep. No one goes that far.
Are you saying that cooked meat is proton rich
Yep.
and raw? I see that, and I know that there's this constant battle between eating cooked meat and then eating raw vegan. And I know, what are your thoughts on the different body types catering to different types of diets, where you have the O positive, O negative, the ancient original needing meat, let's just say, for certain processes to work well, and then the more AB types being able to handle more of the grains, because those are the newer, more evolved blood types. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I am O negative. I am that guy. I am the ancient bloodline, and I'm supposed to eat meat. I haven't had meat in 5 years.
Wow.
And I'm doing amazing. I bench 200 plus pounds. I could deadlift 350. I can squat 225. I can go run a 7-minute mile. I hike, I exercise. I'm 6'4", 230, maybe 10% body fat. And I haven't had meat in 4 years, 5 years. So that's me. I'm just an example of it. No, you don't need meat to thrive. Some people do based on their climate. Some people do based on their place where they're at in their life. Remember, John, it goes back to the whole thing, right? The cell. So as long as I have enough voltage, if people have enough voltage, because there's like people that'll eat meat, but they live in the jungle, they're around plants, they're eating fruit, they're in the ocean, they're grounding.
Barefoot. Yeah.
They're saturated in negative ions. So that meat they eat is not really much. The average person, though, does not live that lifestyle. They're in cubicles. We're in cars. We're in towers. We're in boxes. We're in homes. We're in Whole Foods. We're in Target. The average human today, we live in a different world, does not live that lifestyle. So if you're able to get your negative ions, plenty of them, go ahead and enjoy your meat. I just have no interest. And the big thing for me when I stopped eating meat was I stopped getting angry, frustrated, aggressive, reactive, and overwhelmed. Those emotions disappeared within weeks when I stopped eating meat. And I don't ever want to go back to it. Never wanted to go back to it. So as long as the food is sourced, because there's people that do raw, organic, great. Like all power to it. And I say this, it's not about plant meat arguing. That's the wrong argument. It's Monsanto, factory farming, pharmaceuticals. If these groups came together and turned their head and started speaking their energy and their truth louder at those things, we're all in a better place. We're all eating maybe electron rich. I don't know. We're all in a different place because our soil is repaired, our topsoil is regenerated. And that's why it's great that you're seeing regenerated practices with meat. And that's awesome. I'm all for it. I just personally haven't had it in years. Sometimes I think about it. At the same time, the way I live, what's happening in my life, I have no interest in doing so. So at the end of the day, 2 things. You got to do what's best for you, given where you're at in your life, health-wise, and use discernment take what resonates, ask more questions, educate yourself on how all this works. Don't just take this guy on Instagram saying, eat these things now and you'll be cured. Like, there's people that trust that. Great. I've seen it. There's a lot of missing pieces, and I'm not a fan of it because you can only share so much in a minute reel that people will take as full truth. And it's easy to be biased, don't ask questions, make statements and so forth. So at the end of the day, people do what they want as long as they're making good changes in life, happy with their health. They're not constantly stressed or anxious, overwhelmed, or worried. Because I used to use meat as like literally a reward system, like a drug, like the epinephrine, the adrenaline that I would get after I eat it. It's gnarly. It is very gnarly, and I don't really miss that anymore. So yeah, the O negative thing, I'm O negative. I'm that 1%er, and I haven't had meat in 5 years. And then I also learned that the blood type book, learned a little bit about the author, and he's got interesting ties to certain places. So
All right. I will definitely look into that.
yeah, I stay away from all those different lingos. So that's it for those that are watching. Do what you do. Just be mindful of forcing your views on people and telling people that they're wrong or bad for doing so.
Absolutely.
That's not our place. That's where it gets all funky. And I don't do that. I don't respect it. I'm not a fan of it. As long as they're happy doing their thing, making the world a better place because they're on organ meats, go for it. Or if they're on chlorophyll and wheatgrass, cool. But when you start pushing on that or start name calling and attacking and verbalizing and demonizing, we're no different than the people that set this whole shit up in the first place.
Yeah.
We just fall into their game. Yeah, we fall into their game.
Yeah.
Just get to the electrons. Go to the electrons, you'll get a lot of answers. It's simple. Grounding,
I like it.
movement, electron-rich water, ionized air, meditation, and real food. That's it. There's your simple principles. If you can't get sunlight, if you can't touch the earth, drink good water, eat clean food, and sit still for a minute and stretch and sweat, and you're trying to every herb or supplement or every new therapeutic or every new Instagram influencer's product or detox, dude, some people they're so close to health. They're just making it so hard because they keep adding things, right? Positive. They keep adding things, oxidizing instead of reducing things. Negative, redox, reduction, magnetism, negative charge. And when you get to that negative charge, that's like the 0 point energy too. That's what Nikola Tesla talked about. He was able to get into that negative, that hemi-syncing place in the brain, right? Which is the left and the right hemisphere, 3, 6, and then the life path is 9. That's the corpus callosum. That's the gate, the channel, right? And that's technically, because right now we're using our left brain, me and you, we're talking. Okay. The moment we stop talking, and if I put on 111 hertz, we now literally leave this part of our brain. We cross over a corpus callosum, which some will call Christ in certain texts. You'll cross over and you'll go to the right hemisphere. This is where there is no language. This is where we were before man had the larynx drop and started speaking. We were in a place where we were with God all day. We were listening to God all day. We studied what God would say. We followed God's orders. We were a mirror image of God. It's all written in the Bible. It's just man fell, went to the left brain, started talking, started making up words and babble. We started making stories and metaphors and double meanings and symbolism, right? And commerce and contracts and plagiarism and law and structures and systems and schooling and studies. It's crazy. It's all left
lies and
left brain hemisphere. It's all left hemisphere. Because if the world turned their left hemisphere off for a minute, we'd all be with God in the present moment in that time. And that's where we're going to. In human design, they say the humanity will be in 2027 all in their right brain.
Interesting.
That's the journey we're on right now. We're coming out of this left brain better to the right brain. And I could easily provable for very quickly, very simply, if you're open-minded enough to it. That's where we're going.
Wow. You just dropped so much information and so much.
Take a deep breath, everybody. I know I go fast.
So I don't know where everybody's at. The funny part is I'm holding back asking about certain things, and I don't want to go too far on a tangent because you're bringing up subjects that I haven't spoken to people about in a while.
Sure.
So it's very refreshing to hear someone referring to those things, you know?
Yeah, man.
And at the same
absolutely.
time, from a different perspective and a more simplified perspective where it's like, just focus on the negative and positive ions, and then kind of work your
Yeah,
way up from there, and those will answer your questions. Which is,
exactly.
I do have a question though for you for on the, are you a raw vegan mostly? Because that's the vibe I'm getting based off
Mhm.
of what you said, right? Raw vegan mostly.
No, hardly. I do basic. I have rice, potatoes. I'll do shakes, salads, wraps. Not raw all the time. We've been
Mm-hmm.
blessed. We have a chef here that lives with us, so we've been
Nice.
blessed with the abundance. But I mean, I'll get your typical, like, Thai food. I'll get, spring rolls and vegan sushi. I love food. That's the thing for me. I'm a foodie. Like, I'm not the best role model for nutrition. I don't have a perfect diet. I'm like an 80-20 rule. You've heard that, 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that the food I do choose to eat as best I can will be organic if possible, will be locally sourced, farmers markets, which we go every Sunday and Saturday. It'll be cleaned with our Conga machine of pesticides and insecticides and herbicides. I do take gut supplements like probiotics, enzymes, because we're so deficient in the soil. I
Yeah.
do take sea moss because we're so mineral deficient. We don't get it from our soil. And then I enjoy any other little things. But I do so many other stuff: Kangen water, CBD, mushrooms, red light therapy, infrared sauna, frequency devices. Like, I do all these other holistic modalities at the quantum level. Remember the
Mm-hmm.
zero,
Mm-hmm.
stop,
Mm-hmm.
go, electron, proton. So if I take care of all that, I can eat something and not even be bothered by it. I can drink something, or I can think something, and it doesn't ruin my day. In the past, it used to. So I'm like a flexitarian. I don't eat meat, yet I've had wedding cake with an egg in it, probably. I don't think about it. I just
Right.
eat it and I'm done with it, and that's it. I don't eat it every day. So when it comes for nutrition and diet, I don't have a strict regimen. I eat what I want when I feel called, maybe once or twice a day, if max. Um, Make sure it's locally grown, whole source, and I do all my other modalities, and that allows me to enjoy my food when I want it. No raw vegan. I did try those things a little bit. My partner was more raw vegan than me. But I've done fasts, I've done detoxes, I've done resets, parasite cleanses, a Zen cleanse, which resets your gut. I've like I said, I trial and error so much. And it took me like 4 years, 5 years to figure out what really works for me and for other people too. So yeah, that's where I'm at with food wise.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel like I feel the same as you, where you were saying that you're mentally thinking 10 years into the future
Yeah.
and then trying to live that. And
Hmm.
that's the whole energy behind the New Age Human podcast, is literally to kind of think about the future. What can
Yep.
we do now? Find the solutions and then create that future. And I
Mhm.
really like what you have set up, where you have a lot of these, just you're in the future. I can totally see us paying attention to less of um, like the periodic table of like the triangle of food and stuff, and more
Yep.
based off of down to the cell level. And a lot of the technology that caters to that will be more abundant, will be easier to find. You'll be able to have like a medical center that, you walk through a hallway with all these lights. Here's did you go through your hallway therapy, your red light therapy yet?
Mhm.
All these gadgets are starting to catch up with the blue light filter and all that fun stuff, but it's way too slow, way too slow. So I look forward to the day where we can start exposing more people to these technologies. And I
Yeah,
do
man.
see myself setting something up in the future where we have more people exposed to that.
Love
Um,
it.
I do want to ask you, what are you doing now? I want to give you a chance on pretty much sharing with everybody what you're working on. I know you mentioned there's a book that you're going to be writing. There's a lot of different projects. You're going hard right now. So the floor is
Yeah.
yours to kind of share what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Well, and what you said is great, because what you just said will be the future. I mean, every system, for those watching, whether you're awake or not, believe what we say or not, that's your truth. That's your world you live in. You also got to zoom out and get real. There are the biggest changes happening, more ever than humanity has ever experienced, and the biggest change will be financially. That will be the big jump, is when the dollar, without going into detail, completely collapses and shit hits the fan because it's already happening. It's not a fear kind of thing. This is a prep kind of thing for what's to come. And we're going to a new financial system, whether you believe it or not. You're going to be using it just to survive and get by and thrive, ideally thrive. And it's going to flood a lot of money back to humanity, where John, people like John, me, other people can create these things. Create these, I call them Cobb Care Centers. That's one of my long-term projects, is creating Cobb Care Centers and light them up academies for children who've been trafficked, neglected, and abused and don't fit the current Rockefeller education. So those are my two big ones. Probably 5 to 10 years from now, I'll have done.
Nice.
Right now, gosh, yeah, there's so many things. Well, I mean, I launched my website the other month, so you guys can check that out, comeoutbetter.com. That's, if there's any other things that intrigued you on this podcast, you can find more about my stuff there. I've got a library, I've got a book review section, I've got a timeline, how to work with me, how to do coaching. I have a shop page. You can see all my favorite products I use to come out better. I have all of our podcasts. This podcast will be put up there on the homepage after we get it uploaded. So that's that. I also have my Kangen water business, which is awesome. We share Kangen water with people. I've helped almost 2,000 people in the last couple of years. So getting people hydrated. I know you mentioned, I call Kangen machines cabal killers because that machine can literally replace your whole house. It can replace the pesticide industry. It can replace the beauty product industry. It can replace the cleaning product industry, hand sanitizers, mouthwash, bottled water. All of these companies and industries that are toxic and hurting us and the planet, you can actually be replaced by water. So that's why I share that so much. We have Wakewater Co., which is a community, a global community with 6,000 members. We're in over 20 countries now, all over the world. We do events, webinars, training calls, financial literacy, crypto, health and wellness, commerce, conscious language. So we've been building that for years, and that's pretty incredible. I also have a CBD company I co-founded called Goldvana, which you guys can check out. It's water-soluble nano CBD. Try it out. People feel it because most CBD, if any CBD oil, your body absorbs 10% if it's oil-based. So if you're taking oil-based CBD, just ask some more questions and know that your body processes CBD the best through water, because your bloodstream is water and your CB receptors 1 and 2 are in your bloodstream through the water. I got that. And then I got my Instagram at Come Out Better, which is going viral. Follow me, send me a message. I'm on Telegram, Come Out Better. The letter O and out is a Q. So come, Q-U-T, better, in a way, Come Out Better. The O is a Q. I'm on Twitter, Come Out Better, same thing. Instagram, Come Out Better. And eventually I'll have my own YouTube, which I do have. I just got to add to it. Just looking to be omnipresent everywhere and have all the data that I have to share, get out to the world. So, and then, yeah, a book that I'm going to start writing. I've got the template down, and that probably is in a couple of years, How to Come Out Better. And you'll see a big old phoenix on the cover rising from the ashes. So Kangen water, message me to learn more. Check out comeoutbetter.com, goldvana.com, at Goldvana for CBD. Wakewater Co. is our conscious community all over the world, globally, you can be a part of. And then I'm on all the platforms. Just search at Come Out Better and check out my highlights. I've got 10,000 highlights. I've got a link tree with tons of content. I have almost 2,000 posts that you can go back just 3 years ago. And if you want to know what's happening in the world, go read all those in the captions and you're on your very way. So that's where you can find me. That's what I'm offering. That's what I got to share. And that's what I do to help people truly come out better. And so it's,
honestly, I don't think you're doing enough, man. I think
I know, man.
You're
I'm
lazy,
slacking.
you're slacking. Not inspired at all.
I know, right? It's crazy. As you keep those electrons charged, man, keep the ions going. That's it. You just keep those electrons going, keep your energy lit up. And all this, like I said, John, like you guys listening, and you know this, all of this is because I took the time and priority to learn about myself. That's it. This was not just copy and paste from a book. This is learning by myself, through myself, experiencing, trial and erroring, testing, trying over and over and over, reflecting, like processing, transmuting, and then I go share it. Everything I shared with you guys in the last hour with John and his audience is literally from my life experience. And that's something we all have. That's something you all have, John has, you watching it have. Just remember, the moment you think no one cares or no one listening or no one's interested, they are. They just haven't taken time to actually say it. People are listening. People are watching. People are paying attention. And one day they're going to say, thank you, or I have a question, or can I ask you something? And that's when that door really opens. So I appreciate it, man. Best is yet to come. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, man. Thanks for hopping on and sharing all this rabbit hole, mind blowing info. And I'm excited to hear what people have to say after this. So thank you for coming on, man.
Right on, you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Much love, everybody. Come out better.